Okay, good afternoon. The Committee on Labor and Technology has a 3 o'clock agenda. It is 3 p.m., Friday, January 31st, conference room 224, Hawaii State Capitol. Okay, this meeting is being streamed live on YouTube. In the unlikely event that we have to abruptly end this hearing due to technical difficulties, the committee will reconvene to discuss any outstanding business on February 5th. February 5th at 3:31 p.m. and a public notice will be posted on the legislature's website. Okay, there will be a 2-minute limit per testifier. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, up first, we have Senate Bill 1567 relating to the classification and compensation systems. Okay, requires Department of Human Resources Development to complete a comprehensive review of the classification and compensation systems, okay, for all positions within the state's executive branch. Allows the department to contract with a third party without regard to 103D to assist the department in its timely completion, okay, of the review, and also provides the department some funds and a report to the legislature. Okay, up first, we have Director Dehert.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. I'm Brenna Hashimoto, Director of DHERD. Thank you for the opportunity to testify on this measure. DHERD is in support of this measure. I think it's no secret. I've talked to you folks before about the concerns we have about keeping our classification and compensation plan current. It's been a real challenge. We have over 1,400 classes of work within the state executive branch. And for the small staff that we have, it's a challenge to keep it current. So we appreciate the legislature's support in providing funds and resources for DHERD to contract with a private vendor to help us update not only the class specifications, but the minimum qualification requirements, and to bring our jobs into sort of a more modern looking workforce. We would also, the goal of this project is also to address some of the pay issues that I think you folks have been hearing from other departments. We do have many pay programs available to departments. However, we'd also like some outside information, some outside data, so that we can make sure that our structure is aligned with not only internally aligned, but it's also responsive to market conditions. I just would like to point out one thing about this bill. I know it's got a couple of deadlines which are at the current moment blank, and I would just ask that the legislature keep in mind that depending upon the amount of funding that is permitted will really dictate how quickly or how slowly we take on this project. We're committed to looking at the entire civil service workforce, or our classification plan, but depending upon the amount of funding, it may necessitate that we prioritize certain groups. And so I just ask that you consider that in terms of any amendments to the bill.
Okay, thank you very much,
Thank you.
Director. Okay, up next, we have the State Procurement Office. Okay, members and members of the audience, please note that we received testimony with comments. Okay, any others wishing to testify? Senate Bill 1567. Okay, seeing none, members, questions?
Director.
Senator Moriwaki.
When you look at the whole system, you say you have 1,400 classes and you're looking at compensation and classification. There are people out there that can come and do this kind of assessment and be able to streamline our system and look and update it. There are a number of vendors that are out there to do that.
Yeah, so in preparation for proposing this, because it does align with one of the administration's goals in looking at civil service. And so we did a little bit of research. Our employee relations staff reached out to the Hawaii Employers Council, which we just became members of this past year with your support. And although they don't do this work in-house, they referred us to a vendor who would be able to help us. And so we did get a quote. It's between $1,200 and $2,500 per class of work in order to do a kind of a comprehensive study. And so that would, if you multiply it times 1,400, that's a big number. I believe that there are certain classes of work which we would perhaps not need to review. We have some groups within the state, like, for example, nurses, which is a very homogeneous group, and that probably wouldn't need to be part of the study. Perhaps not executive, managerial type positions, we could exclude those. But we have 9 bargaining units. And as you know, with collective bargaining, they basically have, for the most part, one salary schedule for the entire population. And we know for certain bargaining units, that's problematic, where we have highly technical jobs, which perhaps that one pay salary schedule is not responsive and doesn't allow us to recruit and retain staff.
And are they looking at, when you say compensation and classification, they're looking at compensation, or they're looking at comparables, because that's where we in the state are at a disadvantage to the city and to the private sector. So is that in the mix when you give the scope of work to whomever?
Yes, it certainly could be. We haven't defined it. So it's still, we're still considering all the variables. I don't think that we foreclosed any ideas, but certainly, if our job market is basically local, we need to consider, what other agencies are paying as well as the private sector. So it would be appropriate. If we didn't consider that, I think we would be at a disadvantage.
And what is the timeline? You say it depends on contracting and how you can get this contract out. But if you have vendors that are able to do it, what are you looking at in terms of timeline of 1,400 classes?
Right. That's a little uncertain at this time. It depends, I think, how we prioritize. If we go, for example, if we started with bargaining unit 3, which is kind of vast and varied, that would probably be a longer project than, say, if we were to look at just certain classes in bargaining unit 3. Or if we looked at, I mentioned nurses, that's a very small bargaining unit in comparison and very, very homogeneous. That would probably be pretty quick. So it really depends on where we choose to prioritize our time, attention, funds. DHERD has just one staff person in this area, so that's another concern for me in terms of the amount of time that our staff can devote. We'll probably have to figure that out.
Sure, just one more question. So you have 1,400 classes. Is there a way that you will look at it beforehand and consolidate some of these? Because they seem, some of them are archaic, real archaic, but others can be consolidated. Is that what you do, or is it the vendor giving you suggestions or recommendations on how to do that?
I think for the most part, we do have classes that become obsolete. There may have been positions assigned to those classes at some point in time, and then they morph into something else, or that line of work. I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but we do consolidate from time to time. For example, office assistant, that used to consist of clerks, clerk typists, and clerk steno. So at one point in time, we decided we don't need 3 different closely related classes of work. We can roll them all into one and call them office assistant, especially since we don't really do steno work much. So that's an example of where we might combine. But a lot of jobs in the state, in our agencies, they're only found in state government. And so there is a need, because the work reflects that kind of specialized knowledge, skills, and abilities. So the departments would say that we need what we've got. So it's hard for us to say, no, you can make do with something that's similar. But those are certainly discussions that we would have with the departments.
So Director, specifically, what's the appropriation that you're requesting?
The governor approved a budget of, I think, $1 million, and so that's what we're looking for.
Okay.
In just one fiscal year.
Okay. Would the completion date be, because I think in the bill, it's basically exempt from 103D. So would that play a part in the timeline that you're?
Certainly, if we can speed up the procurement process, that would allow us to contract sooner. And it would depend on how the contract goes, right? And how big of a pool we choose to look at first, and how long the contractor would take to.
Have you guys had
Look at that.
contracts, exempt from 103D with that amount of $1 million or more?
Not in my tenure, not in my tenure.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Now, members, any other questions? Okay, thank you, Director. Okay, let's move on to Senate Bill 336, okay, relating to the defense of state employees. Okay, up first, we have HGA.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, Senator Morrow, Steve Davis for HGA. We sent our testimony and support here for any questions. I just want to know it's the second year in a row that there's no opposition.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, up next, we have Hawaii State AFL-CIO. Okay, in support. Okay, we have testimony from the Hawaii State Teachers Association.
Hello, Chair, Vice Chair, Senator, Secretary President, HSU.
Okay, thank you very much. Any others wishing to testify, Senate Bill 336? Okay, seeing none, members, any questions? Okay, no questions. Let's move on to the next measure, Senate Bill 337, okay, related to collective bargaining. Okay, this authorizes the HLRB to request the Federal Mediation and Conciliation Service, okay, to furnish a list of 5 qualified and experienced interest arbitrators in the event the parties fail to select a neutral third member of the arbitration panel. Clarifies that the list of 5 interest arbitrators may contain arbitrators from both the AAA, American Arbitration Association, and the FMCS. Okay. Up first, we have Hawaii Government Employees Association.
Hello, Chair, Vice Chair, Senator. You have a written testimony in support. I just want to emphasize that the intent of this measure is really just to expand the pool of eligible interest arbitrators. Mahalo.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, up next, we have the Hawaii Labor Relations Board Interim Chair.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Eve Young. I'm the Executive Officer for the Hawaii Labor Relations Board. We stand by our written testimony and are available for any questions you may have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Up next, we have the Hawaii State AFL-CIO. Okay, in support, any others wishing to testify? Senate Bill 337. Okay, seeing none, members, any questions? Okay, I have a quick question for HGA. Thank you, Nui, for being here. Are there any specific reasons why we should expand the pool?
I think, from our end, we just kind of want to expand the pool just to ensure that there's a better selection or just a better list of qualified arbitrators.
Is it because the current organization, the AAA, is it the fact that maybe, there's arbitrators maybe retiring or, maybe leaving the field for whatever reason? Is that part of the reason why you want to expand the pool?
Yes, yeah, correct. And then there's also been sometimes some communication issues. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. All right, any other questions, members? Okay, let's move on to the next measure, Senate Bill 1233. Okay, relating to workforce development, establishes within DHERD the state internship and workforce development program. Okay, up first, we have the University of Hawaii.
Aloha, Chair Aquino and Senator Moriwaki. I'm Alan Rosenfeld. I'm the Associate Vice President for Academic Programs and Policy for the UH system. UH stands in support of this measure, and I just want to add it's very, it seems very enticing in terms of making the pathways and opportunities more visible to our students and more tangible for them. Mahalo, and I stand by for any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, up next, we have Director of DHER.
Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, DHER is in support of this measure. We feel like we are in a good position to assist with filling state jobs through an internship program that would be based in DHER. The beauty of putting something like this in DHER is that we obviously know where the vacancies are, so we can better match up interns with opportunities after the internship. So, for example, if we know that somebody's interested in IT and we have a lot of vacancies in a particular department in IT, then that would present a good opportunity to place an intern there and hopefully then convert that internship to a regular civil service appointment after the internship is over. I would also just like to mention, as part of our testimony, we included the resources that we would likely need in order to run an internship program. This is assuming that there would be approximately 50 to 75 interns at any point in time. We did not include the funds or the positions for the interns themselves. So I think that we still need to discuss or have an idea of what the legislature's intent was in terms of how the interns would be employed.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
Director. Okay, up next, we have Eric Abe testifying for the Hawaii Primary Care Association. Okay, in support, Sherry Manor, Chamber of Commerce of Hawaii. Okay, also in support. Any others wishing to testify? Senate Bill 1233. Oh, Director. Okay.
But we,
Okay, we'll look for it, Director. Please proceed.
basically are, we offered comments, we want to thank the committee for, giving us the resources to implement the Hele Imoa internship program. Since we've started the program, we placed about 619 interns throughout the state, including the DOE. So, we stand on our testimony, offering comments.
Okay, thank you very much, Director. Okay, any others wishing to testify? Senate Bill 1233. Okay, seeing none, members, any questions? Okay, Senator Moriwaki.
Director Hashimoto. This bill as it stands has no appropriation, and you said that your testimony had resources you need, but I don't see anything specific in your testimony.
It's in the last paragraph. We anticipate that we would need approximately 5 FTE, which is 4 human resources specialists and 1 account clerk. So if anything, we've learned from our partnering with the Department of Labor, it's shown us how labor intensive it is to hire and onboard and then offboard 89-day hires, even if they do two appointments. So it is very labor intensive if you're filling those 50 to 75 positions back to back. And so there's a lot of just HR paperwork that goes along with that, as well as we would need a couple of positions to do the outreach to the departments and the matching with opportunities in those departments, and just being a resource and available to the interns themselves, as well as we would need somebody to coordinate and oversee the training component, because any internship program, it's essentially designed to be a training opportunity, which means we need to mentor the supervisors or leaders or whoever's going to be overseeing that intern, make sure that they understand what their roles and responsibilities are, as well as we've learned from our partnership with Department of Labor on Hele Mua, is that there is a valuable aspect to having the interns come together and do learning around soft skills and office skills and just having an opportunity to collaborate with each other. We also run them through a day or day and a half of how to apply for a state job, how to write a resume, some interview skill building, and that sort of thing. So all of that requires staff to execute.
So you envision having an office within your office, your department, of just internship, state internship program? Or
Right.
how do you envision this?
Yes, so we haven't really decided where it would land. It'll probably be in our staffing division, but we also see input from training because they'll do the training piece just like we do right now with a position that's on loan from Department of Labor. So mostly in staffing, but certainly it would probably require the assistance of our classification team because ultimately we want to be able to create those pathways. How do we get students or recent graduates or whichever population we're looking at into state jobs? And so part of that is looking at the MQs and making sure that they're current. And that's really the focus and job of our classification team.
So you've already had a pilot so that you know that these students, if they're interning in a department, that there is a pathway for them to get a job in that department.
Well, that would be our goal. So part of
Have
the
you had
placement.
experience with that, or is this what you
Not directly.
envision?
So we do have like I said, we have a position that's on loan from the Department of Labor in our training section, but we do try to collaborate with them on the placements. And I think that's where we see our biggest benefit is that we know where the vacancies are. So we can match up the students with the vacancies, at least to put them in the right position, because I think, you know, departments are sometimes hesitant to take on inexperienced or you know, recent graduates because they're not really sure about whether it will work out. And once you have a civil service employee, they may stay with you for 30 plus years. So the beauty of the internship is we both get to test each other out. The supervisors get to try them out, and they also get to try out state government. And if that's not the right fit for them, we can try to, you know, put them somewhere else where they might be successful or there might be a better fit.
And this 5 FTEs, what will it cost, this program? What will it
We
cost?
have in here $330,000 for salaries for those positions. I can get you a sort of a breakdown if that would be helpful.
What they do, yeah. What their responsibilities will be that you need 5.
Okay, certainly.
Okay, I have a quick question, Director. So, in the event that you don't get resources, is this something that you can still fulfill all the requirements that are in the bill?
If we don't get the resources, probably not. We would, we're happy to continue partnering with Department of Labor on the Hele Mua program, but in order to take on something of this magnitude and to be completely responsible for it, we probably would not be able to.
Yeah, the reason why I'm asking, Director, was last year we provided some positions for you that was requested by the department that still hasn't been filled. So I guess there's some concern that we provide another 5 positions. And, you know, this program, I think a lot of us would like to see stood up. But the fact is, you know, if you provide 5 more positions, we need some sense that these positions can be filled.
Oh, so the staffing positions, we are in the process of recruiting. I think you folks did give us 7, which we're extremely grateful for. And those positions are specifically assigned to review applications and
We
to screen.
understand that,
Yeah.
Director, but, you know, the point is that this bill is asking for 5 more positions. So we just want to make sure that these positions can be filled so that the requirements of the bill can be brought out and brought forth. So that's all. That's mainly just a comment, yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you very much. Okay, members, any other questions? Okay, let's move on to the next measure, Senate Bill 1359, relating to the Hawai'i UTF benefits, trust fund composite monthly contribution, okay, effective of January 2026, increases the employer-based composite monthly a contribution to the Hawaii EUTF Trust Fund by 5.2% of the 2025 employer-based composite monthly contribution, and effective the year after requires that the employer-based composite monthly contribution be calculated based on the change in the Medicare Part B premiums from 25 to 26 and at a 2-year lag thereafter. Okay, first we have UTF Administrator Derek Mizuno.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, Senator Milwaukee. Derek Mizuno, UTF Administrator, we stand on our written testimony.
Okay, thank you very much. Cindy Freitas. Okay, Cindy Freitas in support. Any others wishing to testify? Senate Bill 1359. Okay, seeing none, members, any questions? Okay, I have a quick question for Administrator Mizuno. I thought we addressed this last year. This looks very similar to what we passed last year, so maybe you can kind of share why this bill.
Yeah, actually, the bill didn't pass. It died in conference.
Oh, shucks. Okay, it's one of those, right? Okay, anyway, thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, moving on to Senate Bill 1454, relating to wage and hour law. Okay, authorizes the LIR to issue an order of wage payment violation to the employer found to be in violation of wage and hour provisions. Okay, establishes penalties, enforcement, and appeal procedures. Okay, amends the definition of wage to include compensation for labor or services rendered by an employee, whether the amount is determined on a time, task, piece, commission, or other basis of calculation. Okay, up first we have Director of the LIR.
Aloha, Chair Aquino, Vice Chair Lee, and Senator Moriwaki. We stand on our testimony in strong support of this administration package proposal to amend Chapter 387 HRS to add provisions to the issuance of an order of wage payment violation, including penalties, enforcement, and appeal procedures. Thank you for scheduling this hearing and for the opportunity to testify.
Okay, thank you, Director. Okay, up next we have Michael Older. Okay, in support. Any others wishing to testify? Senate Bill 1454. Okay, seeing none, members, questions?
I do, Director.
Okay, Senator Moriwaki.
Just for my own edification, this 387 and 388, and you say in your testimony that you didn't have this kind of, this provision in the current law, and I'm just wondering, so is it that you haven't been taking appeals and putting an order in? How is it different than the current status by adding this in?
The 387, there's no provision for, for wage payment violation for.
So we never went after people who violated in the past?
I don't think so, because we don't have the authority.
So how is 387, 388 has that provision,
Yes.
right? So how is 387 different? 388 couldn't be applied to 387? I'm just wondering, because it seems weird that you can't have, violations being addressed in, and also an appeal provision in the law. So I'm just wondering.
Yeah, that's a bit granular for me, Senator. So let me ask our Administrator Sherry Lee.
Yeah, it's just, you never knew, and I'm just thinking, how could we have gone so long without having a way of going after people not paying wages?
So, Cheryl Lee, Administrator for the Wage Standards. Under Chapter 387, if it's violated and it goes to the Attorney General for collection, and if they pursue it in court, then it'll be, I believe, double of what back wages are found due. That would be the penalties. But it differs from 388 because 388, we can issue the order of wage payment violation, but we want it to kind of mirror that for 387, so it's easier for the investigator also, so that they don't have to distinguish between the two laws.
So 388 doesn't go to the AG then?
only, so if it's appealed, the penalties are appealed, they go to a hearing. And we want it same for 387 also. So if it goes to a hearing
You've
and
been doing
they,
it for 387 all this time, and you just have to go to AG, and the
Yeah.
AG proceeds.
Yes.
So it takes longer.
yes,
So this would expedite having the same system as 388.
I don't know if expedite, but it just makes it easier for the investigator also, so that they don't have to distinguish between the two laws. Which one they
So
can
it's
issue the
consistent-
order.
it's
Yes,
consistent
yes,
procedure.
exactly.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Members, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to the next measure, Senate Bill 1345, making EA for public employment cost items. Okay, first we have Budget and Finance Director.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, Senator Milwaukee, Louis Oliveri, Director of Finance. We are here to testify in support of this administration bill. Again, this is a bill to address emergency appropriations that will be necessary to cover the temporary hazard pay agreements and arbitrated awards that some are currently still in process and some have been arbitrated and have been settled. So this is just a continuation. The amounts that you approved last year was just for what was settled last year. So this will basically take us current going forward. We do ask that there was something that was omitted in the language. It did not include units 1 and 10. If we can just include units 1 and 10 in the bill going forward. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Director. Okay, up next we have University of Hawai'i System.
Michael Ng for Talbert Young, UH stands in support.
Okay, thank you very much. United Public Workers.
Chair Aquino, Vice Chair Lee, Senator Milwaukee, Kamakana Kaimula, United Public Workers, you have a written testimony in strong support. You know, it's rare for us to chime in on the cost items for another exclusive representative, but this is a unique situation in which we don't have a vehicle to actually move funding for our temporary hazard pay forward. So we do ask for an amendment, including bargaining units 1 and 10 in it, specifically in parts 2 and 4. So that's Executive Branch, University of Hawaii, Department of Education in part 2, and in part 4, it would be Hawaii Health System Corporation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have HGA.
Thanks, Master.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Hawaii Health Systems Corporation. Okay, Edward Chu. Okay, also in support. Any others wishing to testify? Okay, seeing none, members, any questions? Okay, let's move on to the next measures. There are a good amount of bills. These are all collective bargaining bills, cost items for various BUs. So we're just gonna go through each one. Okay, up first, we have Senate Bill 1346. Okay, this is for bargaining unit number 1. Okay, University of Hawaii System.
UH stands on the testimony support.
Okay, thank you. Director, Budget and Finance.
Chair, the Department of Finance testimony in support.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, United Public Workers.
Chair, stand on the testimony in strong support.
Okay, HHSC in support. Any others wishing to testify? Okay, let's move on to Senate Bill 1347. Okay, again, Budget and Finance Director.
Chair, the Department of Finance testimony in support.
Okay, UH.
Yes, same chair, stand in support.
Okay, just like we stay at church, yeah, guys. Okay, HEA. Okay, thank you very much, HHSC. Okay, in support. Okay, any others wishing to testify? Okay, on 1347. Okay, seeing none. Members. Okay, we're good. Moving on to Senate Bill 1348. Okay, BNF.
Chair, the Department of Finance testimony in support.
Okay, please bear with me. Okay, UHO, very good, proactive.
UH stands on this testimony support.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, HGA. Okay, and then HHSC, okay, in support. Any others wishing to testify? Seeing none, members, you guys okay? Okay, we're just gonna keep rolling, folks, okay? So no need stand, I think we got it. Okay. Okay, Senate Bill 1349. Okay, we have testimony support from BNF, University of Hawaii, HGA, as well as HHSC. Okay, all in support. Any others wishing to testify? Okay, seeing none, moving on to Senate Bill 1350. Okay, we have support testimony from BNF as well as HSTA. Okay, both in support again. Any others wishing to testify? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to Senate Bill 1351. Okay, bargaining unit 6. Okay, BNF and HGA support testimony received. Okay, any others wishing to testify? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to Senate Bill 1352. Okay, bargaining unit number 7. Okay, we have BNF and UH both in support, as well as UPA. Okay, also in support. Any others wishing to testify? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to Senate Bill 1353. Okay, which is BU8. Okay, we received testimony from BNF, University of Hawaii, as well as HGA, all in support. Any others wishing to testify? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to Senate Bill 1354, okay, which is BU9. Okay, we have received written testimony in support from HGA, University of Hawaii, BNF, as well as HHSC. Any others wishing to testify? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to the next measure, Senate Bill 1355. Okay, this is bargaining unit 10. Okay, we have support testimony from BNF, UH, United Public Workers, as well as HHSC. Again, all in support. Any others wishing to testify? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to the next measure, Senate Bill 1356, which is BU11. Okay, we have Budget and Finance, as well as the Hawaii Firefighters Association, again, both in support. Okay, any others wishing to testify? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to Senate Bill 1357. Oh, I'm sorry. Is there somebody on Zoom? Oh, okay. Hi, Celeste.
Hello, committee. Hello, chair. Thank you for the opportunity. Just wanted to get you an update. We only have about 170 airports firefighters in our bargaining unit. We are currently in contract arbitration proceedings. Well, we haven't started the arbitration proceedings, but we appreciate the opportunity to testify in support of this bill, and hopefully we'll have resolution soon so we can plug in numbers. But we appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, any others wishing to testify on Senate Bill 1356? Okay, seeing none, moving on to Senate Bill 1357, BU 13. Okay, we have written testimony in support from BNF, HGA, as well as HHSC. Any others wishing to testify? Anybody on Zoom? Okay, seeing none. Okay, let's move on to the very last measure, Senate Bill 1358. Okay, this is BU 14. Okay, we have support testimony from BNF as well as HGA. Any others wishing to testify? Okay, seeing none. Okay, we're going to recess briefly for decision making. Recess. Okay, reconvening our 3 p.m. agenda for decision making. Okay, up first we have Senate Bill 1567 relating to the classification and compensation systems. Okay, so Chair's recommendation is to move this as a Senate Draft 1. Okay, we're going to make this subject to 103D. Okay, we're also going to put on page 2, section 2, line 20. We're going to add 2 different reporting deadlines. So we're going to put a preliminary report that's due 20 days prior to the session of regular session 2026. And then a final report on page 3, section 2, The final report will be due 20 days prior to the following session. Again, these amendments may be changed. It just really depends on what kind of resources we'll be putting in the bill. But in the meantime, those are the two reporting deadlines. In addition to that, we're going to put a effective date of July 1st, 2050. And we're going to note in the committee report that we're going to be seeking $1 million in appropriation to move on this contract. Okay. Any questions or concerns, colleagues? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on Senate Bill 1567, recommendation to pass with amendments. Chair Aquino?
Aye.
I'll vote aye. Senator Ihara?
Aye.
Senator Moriwaki?
Aye.
And Senator Favela excused. Recommendation adopted.
Okay, thank you very much, colleagues. Moving on to Senate Bill 336, relating to the defense of state employees. Members, the recommendation is to pass this unamended. Okay, any questions or concerns, members? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote, please.
Voting on Senate Bill 336, recommendation to pass as is, noting Senator Favela excused. Are there any reservations or noes? If not, recommendation adopted.
Okay, thank you very much, colleagues. Moving on to Senate Bill 337, relating to collective bargaining. Members, the recommendation is to move this as a Senate Draft 1. We'll be just adding some technical, non-substantive amendments for clarity and consistency, but we'll keep the date clean. Okay. Any questions or concerns, colleagues? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on SB 337, recommendation to pass with amendments, noting Senator Favela excused. Are there any reservations or noes? If not, recommendation adopted.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to Senate Bill 1233, into workforce development. Members, the recommendation is to move this as a Senate Draft 1. Recommendation would be to add appropriation language into the bill, as well as positions requested by DHERD. And also, so it'll be blank, but we're just going to be putting the language in there, and we're going to be adding DHERD's requests in the committee report. Okay. Questions or concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
Voting on Senate Bill 1233, recommendation to pass with amendments, noting Senator Favela excused. Are there any reservations or noes? Seeing none, recommendation adopted.
Okay, moving on to Senate Bill 1359, relating to the Hawai'i UTF Benefits Trust Fund, the monthly contribution. Members, the recommendation is to move this as is. Any questions or concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
Voting on Senate Bill 1359, recommendation to pass as is, noting Senator Favela excused. Are there any reservations or noes? Seeing none, recommendation adopted.
Okay, thank you very much, colleagues. Moving on to Senate Bill 1454, relating to wage and hour law. This would authorize the LIR to issue an order of wage payment violation to make it consistent between HRS 387 and 388. Members, the recommendation is to move this admin bill as is. Okay, any questions or concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on Senate Bill 1454, recommendation to pass as is, noting Senator Favela excused. Are there any reservations or noes? Seeing none, recommendations adopted.
Okay, thank you very much, colleagues. Moving on to Senate Bill 1345, which would make emergency appropriations for public employment cost items, specifically for hazard pay. Members, the recommendation is to move this as a Senate Draft 1. Okay, we're going to amend all applicable parts of the bill, listing collective bargaining units to add collective bargaining units 1 and 10. Okay, and we're going to defect the date to July 1st, 2050 to keep it alive. Okay. Any questions or concerns, members? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
Voting on Senate Bill 1345, recommendation to pass with amendments, noting Senator Favela excused. Are there any reservations or noes? Seeing none, recommendations adopted.
Okay, we're not going to take the vote for the next, I don't know how many bills, but all the bargaining unit bills that we have, heard, we're going to be taking it as one, but I'll be reading off each one, and we're going to go from there, okay? All right, so we're voting on Senate Bill 1346, okay, for Unit 1, 1347 for Unit 2, Senate Bill 1348 for Unit 3, Senate Bill 1349 for Unit 4, 1350 for Unit 5, Senate Bill 1351 for Unit 6, Senate Bill 1352 for Unit 7, 1353 for Unit 8, 1354 for Unit 9, 1355 for Unit 10, Senate Bill 1356 for Unit 11, Senate Bill 1357 for Unit 13, and finally, Senate Bill 1358 for Unit 14. Okay, the recommendation of the chair is to pass all said bills as a Senate Draft 1. Okay, for all those measures, we'll be inserting language declaring that the general fund expenditure ceiling has been exceeded. Yeah, this is a uniform language that we typically put in, as well as the effective date of July 1st, 2050, to keep the discussion going. Okay. For all said bills, any questions or concerns, members? Seeing none, Vice Chair, for every single vote. Just
Voting on Senate Bills 1346, 47, 40, sorry. Voting on Senate Bills 1346, 1347, 1348, 1349, 1350, 1351, 1352, 1353, 1354, 1355, 1356, 1357, and 1358. Recommendation is to pass with amendments, noting Senator Favela excused. Are there any reservations or noes? If not, recommendation is adopted.
Okay, thank you very much. That concludes our hearing. Thank you.